final then for our minis. Not sure if they're still down there. Looks like they hear them just about coming out then. So it looks like that's going to be Lizzie Mentia on pole position. With Jared Fox-Whiteley for company on the front row. Lucas Blanford will start fourth behind Lewis Goff. And that is your second row. Addison Smith and Melissa Adrian on row number 3. Callum Foster and Ben Horner will share row 4. Tyler Lee and Leon Barlow row 5. Harry Holland and Isaac Parkinson on row 6 with Oliver Fabricius and Daniel Parsons. They've had a retirement each between them, hence why we find them down at the bottom of the pile, unfortunately. Round they come then. Everybody now being slowed down into a race pace that the clerk of the course is happy with. Get them over the start-finish line, nose to tail. Mentia then in the mint and black cart on the inside. The orange of Fox-Whiteley on the outside as they come over the line. We're away and racing in our Minimax final. Fox-Whiteley slots right in behind Lizzie Mentia. Looks like Addison Smith had tried to get alongside Lewis Goff. Blanford looks like he's up into 3rd place. He is, with Addison Smith then now in 5th place. Looks like that's Leon Barlow down the inside as well. But then in doing so, it looks like he ran slightly wide and allows Fabricius to come through. He's had a good opening lap. It looks like he's up into around about 8th place. Tyler Lee's had a good start as well. Ben Horner's dropped from 8th place all the way down as there's a little bit of contact in there. There's a double tap on the nose and Lucas Blanford goes wide. Lewis Goff forceful down the inside. Not sure whether he's going to pick up a contact warning for that, although was straight into the back of Blanford. I think there's going to be, if anything, there'll be a front fairing if it's been done enough. And what I mean by that on the front fairing is all of our karts here in the Cadet and Junior Kart Championship running the CIK compliant front fairing, which basically means if the driver applies too much load to that front nose, the nose pushes in, it drops down ever so slightly, and that is a 5-second penalty for our drivers. And that is not something that is negotiable, unfortunately. So if you do have an issue where you make contact with something, as it looks like Addison Smith has moved through on Lucas Blanford then for 4th place. Blanford dropping from 4th on the grid, moved up to 3rd. He's now down into 5th place, coming under attack then from Melissa Adrian behind, although makes a late dive down the inside of Addison Smith. Smith leaves the door open, although he gets the cut back down to the inside. Blanford chops across the front of Addison Smith. Smith elects to come off the throttle and Blanford moves through back into 4th place. I think if Smith had left the foot in there, then there'd have been contact between the two of them. Mentia leads the way round the outside. She goes of the final corner. The leading trio then nose to tail with Mentia, Fox-Whiteley and Goff, the top 3. Fox-Whiteley with a little bit of a forward tap, wants Lewis Goff to help push him forward, although Goff looking very racy in 3rd place on the back of Goff and on the back of Fox-Whiteley, and they need to be conscious that they don't back themselves into the pack behind them. There's a gap then back of around about a second to Blanford, Smith, Adrian, Foster sticking with them as well, so that's 4 karts for 4th place. And the gap back then to Tyler Lee and Oliver Fabricius, who did have a good start, moving up from 13th to 9th on that opening lap in front of Holland, Barlow, Parkinson, Horner and Daniel Parsons. Leaders still nose to tail, 4/10 between them. The gap fairly consistent then back to Blanford, who has managed to break away from Addison Smith behind. So it's whether now this leading trio battle early or whether they stick nose to tail and sort this one out right at the end of the race. So it will be interesting to see the dynamic between these 3 drivers as Goff closes right up on the back of Jared Fox-Whiteley, and as we mentioned, that maybe that's the case there of Goff knowing that he's got the speed to potentially get past Fox-Whiteley, but not going too soon as there's a little bit more rubbing in between the back of them, closing in, heading towards the hairpin at the end of the track. Blanford now has moved away from Addison Smith. quite a comfortable 4th place, has almost a second back to Smith, who's having to defend now from Melissa Adrian. Still 6 minutes plus 1 lap remaining, so we're not even at half race distance yet here in this mini max class. Sunbather's been on just saying good luck to Callum Foster, but he's currently running in a very creditable 7th place. There he is in the background, on the back of Melissa Adrian and Addison Smith. They're still nose to tail then for the lead. Blanford closing in ever so slightly, takes a 10th out on the previous lap. Now Goff gets the run down the inside of Fox Whiteley into the hairpin. Not sure that's going to have lost them too much time, although there is a cart length or two lost to the back of Lizzie Mentier. But Goff, with all the speed on Jared Fox Whiteley, got the run out of the second hairpin, moves through then into 2nd place. So anything you can do about Lizzie Mentier as Blanford once again takes a couple of tenths out. Fastest driver though out there at the moment, Oliver Fabricius, 39.061, up into 8th place as he starts to try and now close in on the back of Callum Foster in front, who had a couple of seconds on him earlier, now only has 3 tenths. Mentier in front of Goff, Fox Whiteley, and a rapidly closing Lucas Blanford in 4th place on the back of this leading trio. It's going to be a quartet before you know it, as Fox Whiteley has a radiator adjustment, lifts the flap up to allow a little bit more into that engine. Over the line they come then, and really is now a quartet. Blanford chipped away since he managed to break free of the Smith, Adrian and Foster battle, and now Lewis Goff down the inside into the 2nd chicane, and for the first time in this mini-max final we've had a change for the lead. Goff down the inside, and it behind as well. Blanford goes down the inside of Jared Fox Whiteley for 3rd place, so bumps Fox Whiteley off the podium. Blanford up into 3rd. Goff then leading the way now from Lizzie Mentier. Half race distance in terms of time when they come over the line, almost bang on 4 minutes here in this mini Rotax final. Then we're going to have that 1 lap, plus the fact that we were slower over the line, so there should be no reason why we aren't going to get almost 18 to maybe 19 laps in. It means we're going to have 20 when it comes to the junior final, as Blanford goes down the inside, straightens the wheel mid-corner, and that means that Mentier can't get back in, so she's dropped down into 3rd place. Lucas Blanford then up into 2nd place, with Mentier down to 3rd. Fox Whiteley on the back for 4th place. Lewis Goff continues to lead as Mentier gets a little bit of snap oversteer, hard on the brakes into double apex right. Goff opens up a gap of half a second, but that did involve Lucas Blanford overtaking Lizzie Mentier on that previous lap. Fox Whiteley puts in a personal best as the rest of the field come over start finish. Harry Holland drops outside the top 10. Leon Barlow. Fox Whiteley down the inside of Mentier into the hairpin at the end of the straight. So Lizzie Mentier with 2 heat wins to her name so far. As it stands, will not even be going to the podium in our mini max class. Goff leading the way then from Lucas Blanford, half a second on the previous lap. Blanford's taken a fraction out, as does fastest lap of the race as well. 38.762 for Lucas Blanford, closes the gap then from half a second down to just under 3 tenths with 2.5 minutes remaining. Mentier's fallen away off the back of Jared Fox Whiteley, who's going to come through in 3rd place. The battle though for the lead is between Lewis Goff and Lucas Blanford. Onto the back straight they go. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in this race. 43-second lap, so we'll have to do the maths in a few moments, but I think we're going to get at least 5 more in here. Goff with the fastest lap of the race, a personal best as well. Still not enough though to try and break free from Blanford. 2 tenths between them as they head into the 2nd chicane. And Blanford closed the gap to within striking distance of Lewis Goff as they head towards that back chicane and then onto the back straight. Into that double apex right they go then. They're still going to have to do this around about another 4 times, I think. 1 minute and 50 on the clock is going to see them. And Blanford there, not sure what he's doing. He's tapping his wrist for some reason. Not sure what, if there's a meaning to that or anything, or whether he's asking someone to let him know how long is left in this race, because on the overhead gantry there's no timer. These drivers are just racing and waiting for that last lap board to come out, so there's no lap timer letting them know how long in this one. So I don't know whether he was just asking for a bit of assistance there from the pit wall as to how long is left in this race. Well, it's 1 minute and 5 seconds. Not that he's going to know it. It's going to be 3 more laps then of mini-max action as Blanford closes up to the closest he's been, under 1.5 tenths then off the back of Lewis Goff as they head down towards the second chicane. They'll get round before the time elapses, so we're going to have 2.5. Blanford then down the inside on Lewis Goff. Jared Fox-Whiteley's going to close up, but Lucas Blanford moves through and into the lead on Lewis Goff at the hairpin at the top of the track. And he will reappear in front of the 4 and the 22. Fox-Whiteley then closing in now on Lewis Goff. Will Goff have to defend to the inside? Has Goff got anything left in the locker to get back in front of Lucas Blanford? Time will be down to 0 now, which means that the last lap board will be out next time round. Lap and a half remaining in this mini-max final here. And now Fox-Whiteley all over the back of Lewis Goff. So Goff, who got past Mentia early doors, she's dropped away down into 4th place and is around 2 seconds off the back of this battle for the lead, which is still nose to tail between Blanford, Goff and Fox-Whiteley. This is going to be your podium unless anything happens, but in what order? Well, we'll find out in around about 45 seconds time. Over the line for the final time before the checkered flag. Last lap board there on the overhead gantry. Blanford leading the way by 1/4 second from Lewis Goff and Jared Fox-Whiteley. Can Goff make a move into the hairpin? Blanford defends to the inside. Will Goff try and get the run all the way around the outside? Blanford puts the brakes on mid-corner to try and bolt the entry of Goff and Fox-Whiteley. Fox-Whiteley could try and take advantage of them both here. If they all go defensive, Fox-Whiteley could potentially get a cutback into the final corner. Down they go then into the far end of the track. Blanford cuts to the inside. Contact between him and Goff in the middle part of the corner. Blanford crosses the line to take the flag and victory from Goff by less than a tenth. Fox-Whiteley gets 3rd with Mentia, Smith, Fabricius, Adrian Foster completing the top 8, and then we're still battling down towards the bottom part of the top 10. Isaac Parkinson's going to come through for 10th place in front of Leon Barlow. Tyler Lee was 9th with Harry Holland in 12th place.